it affects so many things, or it's connected to so many different things, you know, from weight, energy, like I said, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, brain function. It even affects, it'll increase your risk of heart disease, stroke, so many different things. So when we talk about glucose metabolism, you know, it's not just diabetes. It's not just blood sugar, simply blood sugar. Blood sugar is so intricately related to many other areas of the body. So that's why I wanted to be so thorough in this video. That's why I wanted to talk about, okay, what is glucose metabolism? Because I think that's kind of a lost thing nowadays. I mean, it's so prevalent. Unhealthy glucose metabolism is so prevalent, but I don't think it's talked about nearly as enough. And I don't think people understand just how far-reaching that is, or the symptoms, how many, how wide, how vast are the symptoms that can be related to that. Even things like PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome. They're finding now it has a very close link with insulin resistance, which is not completely surprising because they've known for years that PCOS and diabetes are related somehow. So it's like this umbrella term for so many different things. So I've explained what poor glucose metabolism looks like and the importance of it. That's the roller coaster, like I said. I'd like to kind of now switch gears and say, okay, now what does healthy glucose metabolism look like? Now, if unhealthy glucose metabolism is a roller coaster, healthy glucose metabolism is what I call a Sunday drive. And by that, I mean rolling hills, small, slow rolling hills. Okay, so you eat complex carbohydrates that digest slowly because they have protein and fiber in them. Your blood sugar goes up, insulin comes in, utilizes it appropriately with the cells, storage, whatever, goes down, and then it raises back up again later. Like, it's a slow, steady energy for the body, consistent, no dramatic spikes, peaks, and falls. That is what I would consider healthy glucose metabolism. Now, like I said, simple sugars or simple carbohydrates, sugars, these types of things cause the dramatic spikes. The fiber protein is so key to help keep that a little bit more steady. The problem is healthy glucose metabolism, the Sunday drive is just not that common anymore, unfortunately. Studies are showing that approximately 84 million adult Americans, ages 18 and over, have prediabetes right now. Now, prediabetes is basically, you know, your blood sugar levels are high, but they're not high enough to be classified as diabetes. But it's a situation severe enough that they say will develop, if untreated, into diabetes within 5 years. So it's serious. In fact, you know, that's 1 in 3 Americans. The CDC, though, recently reported that more than 100 million Americans are living with either prediabetes or diabetes. So that's huge. That's huge. So like I said, you know, a lot of people hear blood sugar problems and they think, well, that's not me because I don't fall into this category. But in a way, in my personal opinion, my belief is that there's so many people that are like a runaway steam engine heading down a hill towards this number that just don't know it because they're not recognizing the symptoms that are related to this. So I think, you know, this is a bigger need than we have talked about. So this healthy glucose metabolism, okay, is important, is my point. My roundabout way of getting to the point of this is a big deal. This is important. This is important for a lot of people. So how do we support a healthy glucose metabolism? First and foremost, diet, okay? We have to stop with the sugar and the abundance of really, really refined, processed carbohydrates. That is my number one. No, the soda. Oh, the soda. Please stop with the soda. Even juice. I know so many people who, are drinking a ton of juice every day, but juice, and this is a topic for another day probably. Juice, okay, yes, it has some vitamin C in it, but it's been pasteurized, and it's vitamin C that was added because it was totally heated and refined and stripped, and it's sugar, and it's spiking blood sugar levels. So diet is the first thing. Get rid of the sugar, get rid of the processed refined carbs, add in more fiber, more protein. And if your carbohydrates don't have either of those things, rethink your choice and start to look at the GI index. The GI index is a scale that will say how fast it absorbs into the body. So a food that is high on the GI index is going to be a food that quickly raises your blood sugar level, whereas a food that is low on the GI index will be the Sunday drive carb. Okay, now you can Google that. There's plenty of sites and places that will give you a full listing of what foods have what ranking on the GI index. I highly encourage you to look into that. So that is numero uno. The next thing I would say, in my opinion as a health coach, how to support healthy glucose metabolism is to give the body the nutrients it needs to better utilize glucose, be it help absorb it, digest it, or prevent it, whatever. But there are nutrients out there that can help the body do this. For me as a health coach, I have several key ingredients that are my favorites that help do this. Ironically, they are a lot of the ingredients in Plexus Slim. I will go over a few of them here right now. I'm going to try and, I know we're getting long on this one, but I will post a lot more too on studies and stuff regarding these nutrients, so look for those. But the first ingredient that is in actually both Plexus Slims is green coffee bean extract. So green coffee bean extract, it's extracted from unroasted coffee beans. And unroasted coffee beans have a substantial amount of chlorogenic acid in it. And this is a fuel tool, okay? It can help decrease the absorption of sugar in the body. So when you're eating something that can potentially raise the blood sugar level and spike it to like a roller coaster, this can be substantially beneficial to help tame that, okay? In fact, there's a lot of research, several different studies that have been published that show chlorogenic acid has such a positive effect on blood sugar levels that it's similar to several medications. So I'm going to post these studies and I'll post links on that and you can read about those, but it's pretty important. The next ingredient is chromium. Now, chromium is an essential trace mineral, okay? And by that means it's a mineral that the body needs in trace amounts, and it is essential to human health. So we need chromium. We need trace amounts of it, but we need it. One of the main jobs chromium has is to transport glucose into cells. So it's very, very important. So it plays a very key role in balancing blood sugar levels and giving us steady energy and not the dramatic peaks and falls. However, it's been said in some research that like 50% of Americans are mildly deficient in chromium. And again, I'll post more on that data too. But in my opinion, there's probably a million reasons why, but personally, I think the main few reasons are, one, our soil, our crops are not what it used to be. Okay, so our crops nowadays they're overused, they're not left to, rejuvenate. So the crops, the soil itself is deficient in minerals a lot of times. So when you plant these crops, the produce then that grows in this soil a lot of times is deficient also. So, we're eating what we think is nutrient dense, nutrient rich produce, and a lot of times it simply isn't. Another reason I think that this is probably the case, that people are mildly deficient in chromium, is that there's a lot of very common medications nowadays that they can inhibit chromium absorption. Things like antacids, steroids, proton pump inhibitors. A lot of these can prevent us from fully absorbing chromium, or in some cases, some medications actually can cause the body to flush chromium. So this too can contribute to the deficiency. The other ingredient that I find super important is alpha-lipoic acid. Now, alpha-lipoic acid is very, very underrated. So alpha-lipoic acid is in every single cell in the human body. It's an antioxidant, a very, very powerful antioxidant. And one of the jobs is it helps turn glucose to fuel. So it's playing a role in that as well. So the problem is, though, ALA, alpha-lipoic acid, we make less of it as we age, okay? Or if you have a weakened immune system, it can be lesser than too. So there's these instances where we don't make enough or don't have enough, but it also is very, very important when it comes to healthy glucose metabolism. In fact, some studies, again, I'll post links to these, but studies show that alpha-lipoic acid can help reduce fasting glucose. It can help with diabetic neuropathy, and it can increase insulin sensitivity. So it's huge for people that have insulin resistance. Again, I'll post those studies too. The last ingredient that I wanted to talk about that both these slims have is Garcinia cambogia. Now, Garcinia cambogia is a fruit from South Asia, and it doesn't necessarily support glucose metabolism per se, but what it does do and what it can be beneficial for is it has a high concentration of hydroxycitric acid, HCA, and that actually blocks an enzyme in the body from making fat. So it also, in studies, has been shown to be very, very significantly powerful in burning visceral fat. So remember, visceral fat, like I said, was the fat that covers the belly, covers the organs as a cushion, protective fat that's really, really hard to get rid of. So Garcinia cambogia has the ability to help decrease that. Again, I'll post studies on that. But another thing that HCA does, which is very interesting, is it can help raise levels of serotonin. And that is a neurotransmitter that the brain needs, but it also helps with appetite and cravings. So it can be, it doesn't help with glucose metabolism per se, but it can help the body, assist the body to getting back on track. If you're stuck in that roller coaster, it can definitely be beneficial, especially if you're struggling with visceral fat issues. Now, those are the ingredients that are similar. Those are the similarities in these two versions of Slim. Now, they each have an extra ingredient, an added ingredient that makes them different. So the Slim Hunger Control here, again, I'm really sorry, the lighting in here is terrible tonight. This one has, it's called Hunger Control, and the reason why it's called Hunger Control is because it has what's called polydextrose in it, which is a low-calorie fiber that basically takes up room in the stomach and travels slowly. So basically what that means is it helps you feel full for a longer period of time, hence hunger control. So it has an effect on appetite. can have effect on appetite. The other one, Slim Microbiome Activating. This one, okay, so what's microbiome activating mean? Microbiome, and I'm going to talk a ton more about this in future videos, but for now, microbiome means it's an ecosystem, okay, that we have in the body that is made up of microbes, bacteria, yeasts, funguses, viruses even, all these tiny little living organisms that are in the digestive tract, the esophagus, throat, mouth, it's even on our skin. And this ecosystem is comprised of trillions of these little microbes and different strains, okay? And so each of these strains of microbes have different jobs to do. And one of the jobs that's specific to this is a strain called Akkermansia. Okay, Akkermansia is a strain of bacteria that are very beneficial, and one of their jobs is to help regulate metabolism. So what they found in some studies is that people who have severe obesity oftentimes are very deficient in this strain of bacteria, Akkermansia, which controls metabolism. So a lot of times people who are able to beef up or increase the number of this bacteria can sometimes boost their metabolism and experience weight loss as a result. Now, this Slim has what's called prebiotics in it. It's an XOS prebiotic, and a prebiotic is food like for bacteria, okay, like for a probiotic, it helps enhance that. So essentially when you are feeding the good gut microbes, you're helping them grow. So this prebiotic in this version of Slim can help increase the Akkermansia and help it proliferate and grow substantially. Again, I'm going to post studies on that to show you exactly how much, and it is substantial. So basically the differences between these two, both of them help support, they have ingredients to help support glucose metabolism. One will support glucose metabolism and control hunger. The other one will help support glucose metabolism and beef up the gut microbes that might be helpful in your metabolism. Well as other things. There's so many other things. Again, I'm going to post on it. There's another strain that it helps grow that is really important for immune function, another one for inflammation, like so many different things. And I know that I'm getting long on this video, so I don't want to keep going too long, so I'll post separately that you can look at that. But those are basically the differences between the two Slims. Both of them, though, you take in water and 30-60 minutes before a meal. And you can take them together too. It's not like you have to choose one or the other. You can take one in the morning, one in the evening, one in the morning, one at lunch, however you decide to do it, but you can take 2 Slim packets a day. Again, check with your doctor to make sure you can. If you're taking any medications, you really need to check with your doctor to make sure that it's not going to interfere or inhibit the absorption of those medications. So I'm going to stop there. I've gone over both the Slims, probably more detail than you guys wanted me to tonight. I'm sorry about that, but I did that because I feel like the Slim is so important, but yet so misunderstood. And so I wanted to go over what healthy glucose metabolism means, looks like, what unhealthy glucose metabolism is, and why this is important, why everybody needs to be doing whatever they can, be it through food, nutrients, whatever, to help support glucose metabolism, because we are living in a world right now where unfortunately you can't really avoid refined foods all the time. And a lot of us, you know what, a lot of us started out, I know I did, you know, a lot of my childhood or my younger days, I lived off of the worst kind of roller coaster carbs that a person could live on. And so at this point, I need help. I need to support healthy glucose metabolism. So I'm going to stop there, and I will post a lot more on the page, so make sure you're looking at that. And the next video that I'm going to do is going to be on a different product, but we're going to kind of follow in line with the microbiome that I was just talking about. So make sure you're going in order. If you guys have any questions whatsoever, please do not hesitate for a second to message me or post the questions here on the group page. I'll be happy to get back to you as soon as I can. So, okay, I hope everybody is having a good night, and we will talk to you next time in the next video. All right, take care. Bye-bye.